Hello, thank you for taking a look at this video. So what I'm showing off today are these miniature boxes that I've been designing for a couple of years now. Now, inside each of these boxes there are beveled trays on the bottom of each box that are designed to fit with a Games Workshop style bevel chamfer base so that you are holding the miniature by the base and then you have a nice plastic shell around it to keep the rest of the miniature safe. That's a very brief explanation of what these are, but I don't want to bore you. I have a whole long story that I'll probably post in another video or in a blog post or maybe in the description below. But now I want to go and show you how I design one of these boxes. So we'll jump onto the desktop and we'll get into that. Just get to the actual design process and I'll run you through how I design each box. So first, I like to have some references. So this is my reference file in Fusion 360, and as you can see, these are all Games Workshop models. I have them categorized into rows from in base size. So everything in this row is a 25 millimeter base. Everything in here is a 28 millimeter base, and then we go 32, 40, 50, 65, 80, and I believe these are 90s. I have just completed doing all of the 60s, or the 65s, so I'll just run you through the process with an 80 millimeter base. And you'll see why the base size is important as we progress through the design process. So I like to work with models that I have for at least my testing stages. So currently on an 80 millimeter base, I have the Beast Boss on Squigosaur, I believe, and then the Putrid Blight Hauler. Now I could do this or this. No, this one's a bit of a weird size, so I'll do the Squigosaur. So let me show you how so when you want to do a reference image in um, in Fusion 360, you want to go, and so I've just grabbed all these pictures off of Games Workshop website for reference. So here's the Squigosaur, and I'm going to say I want it roughly here, moved away, and you can see none of these dimensions are going to be accurate at the moment. So what you do is I want to go to Canvas, find this, which is going to be the very last one, and then I want to calibrate. Now, since I know one thing, that the base is roughly 80 millimeters, you go calibrate and see right now it thinks that base is 60 millimeters. So I'm just going to bump that up to 80, and it's going to grow the entire reference image to be that size. And then I want to know what size I need to make the box around this guy. So I'm just going to take a simple 2-point rectangle. I'm going to start at the widest point near the bottom to where, yeah, see, that will incorporate everything, and then stretch it out all the way to the widest point on the bottom on the other side, and stretch it to above the tallest point, which would be the tip of that blade, whatever he's got. Okay, so now I have a good reference size for what I need to make. So I can look at this. This is going to give me my width, which is 85. I like to make them a bit wider. So I think I'll make it, call it 95, just to be safe, and I don't want to overestimate either. So I'm going to write that down in my notebook. So 80 millimeters single. So width will be 95 millimeters. And then his height is around 107, so let's make it 135, so we're not scraping the top of that blade. So 135. And then the depth, I typically like to make the same as the width, just to start off, and then I can adjust it from there if I decide it's too deep or too shallow. So then we need to do a little bit of math. So we're going to jump over to our next project, which is where I have all the different boxes that I've designed so far. You can see I have the 60. Let's grab those and put it into frame. And so that's kind of one of the larger 60 millimeter boxes. It's kind of box that shape is really only for models like the Winged Hive Tyrant, where it's still on a 60 millimeter base, but you've got these huge wings that spread to over 232 millimeters. So yes, you need quite the large box compared to the base size, whereas with the I'll go with the normal Hive Tyrant because I can't remember this guy's name. The regular Hive Tyrant is only 112 at its widest, and you have many others where the first year Orc model, he was on a 60 millimeter and he's only 80 millimeters. Same with Dreadnoughts, or the regular old-fashioned Dreadnoughts were on 65 millimeters, and they're only about 75 wide at the widest if you're compensating for the arms and stuff. So you have different size boxes that you need to make based on the base size that you're working with. And there's, in 80 millimeter, there's tons. You have tons of different sizes. You have the Sentinels, and then you have the Void Dragon, which is a 212 millimeter tall model compared to the that's a Biovore, I think, who's only 78 millimeters tall. So huge variations on the base sizes and how wide they are in compared to the base size, if that makes any sense. So all of the boxes kind of follow the same pattern where the walls are the same thickness. Excuse me. So I like to add each wall on the side and the top is 1.2 millimeters, and that is kind of important because I'm thinking for 3D printing, that's 3 perimeters of a 0.4 millimeter nozzle, so it's 3 layers wide, basically, and that's the economical part. I want this to be easy to print, low material cost, and any printer just about can do that. So add 1.2 on each side for the width. So that's 2.4 millimeters. So 95 plus 2.4 is 97.5 0.4. Then do the same for the height. So that's 135 plus 2.4 equals 137.4. And then for the depth, it's a little bit different because the base plate is 2 millimeters thick, so it's 95 plus 2 instead of 2.4. So we have 97. So we have the basic dimensions of the box that we need to design. Then we just have to add in this tray here, which I'll show you how to do in a moment. But at the same time, these are all one part of a two-part system. So this is the box that you would put your miniature in, and then there's a sleeve which then slides this box into here. These are not the equivalent boxes, so don't worry about the weird size discrepancy. But there's a box that fits inside that box so that it covers this face, adds a little bit of structure, and makes sure your miniature doesn't fall out. Good for shelf storage and everything. And I'm really happy with the design of this and how it works. And I'm really looking forward to showing that at the end of this video. So the math for I like to do the math for both of these at the same time. And the math is a little bit different. So because this dimension, the width, is the height dimension, I need to change up how I do the math just a little bit. So I take that 97.4 and I add 1 to it for the extra height, which just leaves a little bit of an overlap, making sure that the edge is covered. So that brings us to 98.4. And then for the other two dimensions, we need to add 4.2. That gives us our, because these also have 1.2 millimeter walls, that gives us our wall thickness as well as just some tolerance so that the box fits in nice and smoothly and doesn't get stuck and doesn't fall out either. 4.2 is kind of the sweet spot that I found. So we have 137.4 plus 4.2 is 141.6. And then we have 97 plus 4.2, which is 101.2. Okay, so now we have both of those numbers. Let's get these out of the picture and let's start our sketch. So first we're going to start off with just a 2-point rectangle to get our primary box size. So it is 97.4 by 137.4, and we're going to make that. And then we are also going to make the sleeve that goes with it at the same time. So we need 141.6 by 102.2. And then we're just going to add a little bit more to the sleeve side because I like to have an open end on each end. So we're just going to add 10 millimeter perimeter. I'm just going to make these construction squares, and then we're going to turn this off of construction, and we're going to do that, and that's going to make, this is going to be our solid. You'll see in a second. Okay, so now we have our sketches finished, or at least the first part of our sketches. We're going to grab each, no, I accidentally went into sketch again. I meant to hit extrude these, and extrude them both to 2 millimeters. And then we have our bodies. So I'm just going to quickly label these. This is going to be 87 single, and I'm just going to call this squig, because this is just an example box. And I'm going to call this a single squig sleeve, because so I know that they go together. So now we are going to finish the design on this. So in order to do that, we need to build the walls and the bottom tray. So the bottom tray is 6.2 millimeters tall, 6.2, and it's as wide as the box, which is 97.4, 97.4. And then I'm going to add in the walls. And to do that, I just like to make two little construction squares at 1.2 on each of the upper corners. Just wait for the computer to catch up. 1.2, 1.2. Then I'm going to use a 3-point rectangle to finish this. Take it off of construction mode. Grab that corner of that construction square. Grab that corner of that construction square. Drag it all the way down to the base here. And then we are going to design, we're going to get the actual base tray in. I have a reference chart somewhere for what the actual base size fits. You can't just put an 80 millimeter base in an 80 millimeter slot. You need some tolerance. And I've printed off sample trays and just written down what the best fit was, but I need to find that now in my book. 80 millimeter is actually, the tray size is 79.6 millimeters is what fits. So I'm going to take a center point rectangle. I'm going to find the middle of the bottom of this box. I'm going to go 79.6 is what I said. I'll have to work on that memory thing. It is more. Yeah, 79.6. And this is going to be 2.4 to give us that 1.2 millimeter wall, basically. And then I'm just going to ignore that part. And then we need to add in the bevels, because the Games Workshop style bases, at least, are beveled. And I have done testing in the past, and I know if I just drag this up all the way to the top, and I change this angle to 70 degrees, and I just clip it to here, that's going to give me a good fit for the base. It's roughly that angle. It might be a little more, it might be a little less. And I'm just going to do the same on the other side. So 70 degrees, clip that to the top of that. And we're going to finish this sketch. Now we're going to extrude this whole thing into the box. So I need to extrude it to 95. So we're just going to grab this piece, this piece, this piece. In the bottom here, 95. And there we have our rough box, which internal dimensions we have 95 by 130 by 95. And then external dimension is going to be 97 by 97.4 and 137.4, which is exactly what I was estimating. Now let's build the rest of the sleeve. And so we start off with just giving it that 1.2 millimeter wall. And we do this the same way I did it on the main box. So just grab the opposite corners, put a 1.2 millimeter construction square, and then just grab the outer corner of that and link it to the outer corner of the other one. And that gives us our nice 1.2 millimeter wall. Now I'm going to extrude this to 98.4, 98.4, and that's going to give us a sleeve that will fit this box. There's still a little bit more work to do on the sleeve, just so that it can, there's a little latch mechanism I like to build into it, and I like to add these little cutouts to give it the latch a little bit of flex. So I want to go 1.2 for the thickness of the wall. Let the computer catch up, and then I'm going to do 2 by 10 millimeter slot. I'm going to do the same on the other side. 2 by 10. Finish this sketch. And I'm just going to cut these out with an extrude. I'm going to choose extrude to object this wall. It's going to cut those two slots. So now we have a little bit of flex here and a little bit of flex here, because that's how the box is going to slide in. The top and the bottom are going to be these two walls. But now I'm going to build in the latch mechanism, which is very simple. I'm just going to grab these two ends. I'm going to add 4 millimeters to them. And then I'm going to add a sketch on each one of these little tongues I just made. And grab a 2-point circle. I'm going to extrude that to 4 millimeters. I'm going to do the same on the other side. No, what am I doing? Sketch. It's going to jump me back to origin. I don't like why that it does that, and I don't know how to make it stop. And we're going to do the same, 4 millimeters. I'm going to finish this sketch, and then we're just going to take those two inner parts of the circle I just made, and we're going to extrude these to the other side of this piece. And there we go. That makes our simple little latch mechanism. It's not too hard to get the box in, and it's nice and easy to get the box out, but it keeps it secure from accidentally falling out. Now the final step is to add a chamfer all the way around. So I like to grab this side of this box and that side, to grab the edge of there, and then we're going to, no, don't want that. We're going to grab all 4 sides of this box, and we're going to go underneath, select the base, and this step is mainly for the base to help with warping and elephant footing when it's printing. You probably don't need it if you have a modern printer, but I have a first generation Ender 3, and the bed is a bit of a potato chip, so I have to add a chamfer to all of anything that's touching the bed, or I'm not going to get a good result. So I'm just going to add a 0.5 chamfer, and it just cleans things up a little bit, makes them a little bit easier to work with. So now we are going to export these. by 3D printing. I'm going to select the box. So we are going to go into, is it in G or D? I think it's in my, yes, it's on D, 3D All. This is just where I keep all my 3D printable stuff, and I need to add a new folder because this is the first 80mm box I'm making. 80. Boxes. I'm going to go into here and just make a quick new folder. Squig test. And we're going to rename this as, come on. So 80 single squig. Save that as just an STL is fine. It's going to bounce us out. And we are going to 3D print this. And we're going in the same folder, so 80 single squig sleeve and save. And wait for the computer to catch up. And then we're going to go to here. I'm going to go into Cura. And we're going to get these sliced. So let's see, we're in 50 boxes. Need to go to 80 boxes. Squig test. So the box, it's going to be quite large, so I'm going to print them individually and just fiddle around with this a little bit. I want to lower my infill because I don't need 30% infill. I probably don't even need 20%, but I'm going to set it to just 20 for now. And personally, I do have to print with a brim because, again, potato chip, print bed. So if I don't print with a brim, one of these corners is going to lift and warp, and it's not going to work very well. And we're just going to save this. This is my big G-code folder. I'll save that to a flash drive before I go to print, and then we're going to grab the sleeve as well, and we're just going to do it the same way, and we'll do a preview and you see there's that brim just on the outside so that it doesn't peel and warp. And show you open folder, and there they are. I'm going to put them onto an SD card, and then I will get them printing, and then I'll show you what comes out of the printer when it's done. Alright, so here we have our finished box for our Squigosaur, and here you can see the two locking latches, and let's slide it out, and there's our fine great white squig, not Squigosaur, and he is held in there nicely by the base, as you can see. He's going back in nice and easily, and we're going to put him back in the sleeve. It can be a little iffy to get it going the first time, and the obligatory shake test to show that he's not actually getting damaged. I may, and of course he's upside down, but he is okay. And now I'm going to show off some other boxes that I've done. Here's a 40mm box for a single mini. I've got Kharadron Overlord Engine Master, I believe, in there. He is in a sub-assembly at the moment, so he's missing his head and his backpack. And yes, it can be a little tricky to get the sleeve, the box and the sleeve together if you're not used to it. And here's a 50mm base with a Plague something. I don't remember what he's called, but he's a Death Guard character. And he's in his 50mm box. And next we have, let's see, what do we have next? Here we have a longer box that holds multiple miniatures. This is holding the Desolation Squad, I believe, from the Space Marines line, the Nerf Gun Marines. They had to be printed a little taller because of their sergeant, who has his rocket launcher pointed right up in the air, so that box had to be a little taller. Next, we have a very tall box, but this is a double-road box, which holds 10 miniatures. These are 25mm bases. Again, Kharadron Overlords. Next, we are going to show off a 32mm, just has a Plague Marine in it for now. This is a very tall box for very tall, mostly flying minis. It's like these Endrinriggers with those sky mines on them. This holds, oh, these are 50mm bases, so I can get 3 into the size that the default size for printing. So I can get 3 50s into one box. And what's next? These are 32mm. These are the default size boxes, unlike the taller box. These are holding Grunstock Thunderers, I believe. And here we have our boxes just doing a spin, so I'll just have a little chat at the moment. So I am planning on bringing these to Kickstarter in the near future. So they will be provided as STLs and possibly physical products as well. I just have to see how much interest there is in both, in whether people want more and print it themselves, or if more people would like it shipped to them. And so I designed these to be printable on most 3D printers. You won't be able to print some of the boxes on small form 3D printers. I'm thinking 120mm by 120mm printers, so mini 3D printers. But any of your Realities, your Anycubics, anything like that should easily be able to handle the size of these boxes. And it takes about, so the Squig box took about, I'd say, a total of 10 hours to print. And I do have an older 3D printer that doesn't print at what a modern printer can print at, so you can probably get a full box done in 6 hours, I would say, to be accurate. Depending on the size, that is, a smaller box takes less time, obviously. And what else? So let me know what you think of these, if there's anything you'd like to see added to these, any other manufacturers like you'd like to see, like different style bases, flat edged bases possibly, or the rounded edged bases like War Machine and I don't remember what the other one is called, but War Machine, if those would be something you would be interested in seeing. I also, so right now we are currently, the largest base size we have is an 80mm base, and that is my current largest because that is the current largest miniature I have. In the future, or if the Kickstarter does well, we'll add in larger base sizes as stretch goals, or we'll do a future campaign for those larger miniatures. And we have to come up with some sort of solution for miniatures without bases as well. So any suggestions for that would be good. My current working idea for things like that, like tanks, are to just add bases to them, and then you just fit it into the corresponding size box. I will be also supplying a set of bases in the Kickstarter that are guaranteed to fit in the box. So if you didn't have a Games Workshop, an official Games Workshop box, these will be the exact equivalent that you can print on your own printer, and then you can add your own base toppers, basing material as you want, just as long as those sides are left clean. And I think that's about all I have. So I'd like to thank you again for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it's something that you yourself would be interested in, or if you know somebody who would be interested in it, please share it with them. And I will see you in on Kickstarter whenever I decide to launch this thing.